Show of Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired AnnaMaria Bliven, and I'm so thrilled to be working with the Disability Channel, a channel that showcases the ability of folks that are disabled but differently abled and still very, very capable. My show is all about the transition that takes place going from military to civilian. The transition from going military to civilian is not an easy way of going for us veterans. We wind up with issues having to do with employment, relationships, and the such. So we're going to be talking in themes each month. So April theme is Mission Money Possible. In May, we are going to be Mission Mental Health Possible. In June, we're going to do Mission Fun and Games Possible. You get where we're doing the mission possible? Because all about Veterans Onward to Prosperity is moving forward in our experience going from the military to civilian. And you know what? Let's not leave out those that are serving currently. I call you guys warriors. So this show, Veterans Onward to Prosperity, hosted by me, Master Sergeant Retired AnnaMaria Bliven, brings to you topics of discussion, information, resources, sources, and the like. On the show now, Veterans Onward to Prosperity. So let's take a little break here, and I'll be back to introduce my guest for today.
Hi, this is Dave Stevens for the Disability Channel.
An inability to break out. I'm sitting by the door on the second floor, losing my 7-year war. It's not an illusion, so why the exclusion?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's about you. So.
You say you're a disability dynamo.
Joining me, and welcome to this beautiful Travelers Championship.
I only want one accolade from you.
So my story is unique, it's amazing, but it's not anything that you guys don't have inside of you. I'm not a hero, I'm not anybody special, I'm just this guy without legs that went out, and I just did it.
Stats outweigh the Democrats, the diplomats, and the bureaucrats.
This is probably your first interview down on the ground on your butt and stuff like that?
First time ever,
All
baby.
right.
Eliminate, invalidate, invalidate, invalidate.
Stay with us and the Disability Channel.
Hi, and welcome back to Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired Bliven. And for my guest today, I am pleased to introduce Staff Sergeant Michael Jahn. And he was in the Army for 3 years, and he is an entrepreneur and owns many businesses.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michael.
How are you?
Okay.
Well, I'm honored that you invited me to be on the show today. And, there's a lot of different things with transitioning from the military into civilian life. I think for me, it wasn't too difficult, although I was disabled in the military. I didn't really even know I had my disability until I received my second disability. So, getting on to get back with life and trying to maintain some kind of normalcy. It's difficult. So we all go through our trials and tribulations, and some of us have learned as we go the little tricks of the game and how to just survive in life. And hopefully we can help others get to that point too.
I like the tricks of the game, because today's topic is about credit. And you and I discussed this earlier, that without credit that's in good standing, you can't buy a house, you can't buy a car, you can't even rent a car.
Yeah, or even rent a house sometimes. Just the simple needs to be able to use that credit and utilize good credit to build a business, build a foundation, be able to buy a house someday. That's what our ultimate dream is, or at one time was. So yeah, credit's really tricky. So if you don't know the rules of credit, if you are unfamiliar with the territory, I have been in the repossession business and collection agency business for 29 years. So for me, it was like, wait a minute, I'm getting a collection letter for an account that was charged off, but yet that company took that charge off as their tax write-off. So they sold my debt to ABC collection agency for pennies on the dollar. Now they want me to pay almost the full bill. Well, if you are intimidated, and most credit agencies can be very intimidating, and they can say things that they're not allowed to according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So these people are out there, trying to get your dollar. But I'm telling you right now, if you have a collection account, don't pay it.
That's key information. In fact, to my audience, you're listening to Michael Jahn. He's an Army veteran, and he's cracked the code. He has figured out how we can all play the credit game and win. So with your significant findings, let's proceed. Hopefully we can see what's going on with PowerPoint that we have prepared. So Michael, what's the first thing you do when you're cracking the code and you're getting your credit back in order?
Well, the first thing that you need to do is check your credit. I mean, so many of us now, we don't even know how to check our own credit, or we don't even know how to find that. So you can go to like creditrepair.com, or you can go to free credit report, annualcreditreport.com. And by law, you're entitled to one credit report, full report for free. You don't have to pay for it. So there's a lot of sites out there that'll charge to pay for that. So it's really easier these days. You even have Credit Karma, which I highly recommend. Sign up to Credit Karma and get in there and start playing and see what's on your credit report. That's number one. If you've been getting collection letters from the collection agencies trying to pay a bill, there's ways that you can squash that and get that off your credit report, because anytime you have a collection on your credit report, it stays on there for 7 years. And if you don't know how to remove that legally, because I think I had said, once that credit card company, finance company, whoever charged off that debt because they couldn't collect, maybe we had some hard times, we came across life of tribulations. And for me, my life has been pretty tumultuous. So it was something that really shocked me, that I knew more than I thought I did. And the more research I did and the more reading I did, it was so simple. So don't pay for a credit repairing company that will charge you thousands of dollars. There's other services like my own that will help you. Most of my stuff is done through a nonprofit, so I'd be happy to teach some people on how to remove that credit report. So the first thing you need to do is check on your credit report. If it's not supposed to be on there, especially a collection account, get a hold of that collection agency. And what you do is you call them and tell them that you want this removed. You do not have a contract with me. My original creditor took this off on their income taxes, therefore took the tax write-off. So you bought the debt for pennies on the dollar. Well, you just kind of lost a bunch of pennies on that dollar, because I'm not going to pay you. Please remove that. And if they don't, you follow up with a letter, or you should even send a letter on top of that phone call. And just basically, if you're going through Credit Karma and you want to dispute, you just put in simply no contract. And most of the times it comes off. Now you got some other collection agencies that like to try to be hardball, and you all may not know the wording or the verbiage, but It's really simple just to say you don't have a contract with me. Remove it, or I will start a small claims judgment against your company.
Wow, you can actually do that?
Oh yeah, yes, you can do almost anything. I personally believe that knowledge is power. For if that credit company wants to take the chance to leave that on my credit report, you're causing me damage. You're causing me my ability to obtain good credit. You're causing me ability to fix my credit. And if they want to go through a small claims judgment, knowing that they can't legally collect on that debt, well, most companies won't do that.
What was your credit score when you first started?
Oh, well, I went from having a 720 credit score, which I thought was pretty good. And then my company was embezzled a few years back, and it went down to a 520. So imagine people feel hopeless. But within probably 2 to 3 weeks after signing up with Credit Karma and just disputing everything that was a collection on my account, 3 days later, it went to a 525, and then it went up 15 points, and then it'll go up another 8 points. And it does take time. It takes a lot of patience, but credit is so important these days to take the time to know what your rights are and how to rebuild that credit. So we will either talk about rebuilding the credit sometime today, or maybe we'll do another session. But there are a lot of ways, a lot of opportunities, and if people would just have a little faith and learn a little bit about your credit report, you can come a long ways.
So how often should someone be monitoring their credit? Once a month, twice a year?
For some reason I check mine almost every day.
Wow.
Because I have revolving accounts. I have built my credit by getting secured credit cards, whether that be a $300 secured card, a $500 secured card. What that means is you're basically putting your own money in the deposit, and then you're using your money to borrow. But if you keep your credit score or your credit utilization down, your score is going to go up. So try to get out there and use the card for the first time, $25, $50, $100, lock it up, put it in your drawer, cut it up, whatever you want to do. But you have to be, what's the word I want? You got to be diligent. Responsible. Great word. So just because you have $300 on that card, you better make sure that you can pay it off before that balance is due. Otherwise, you're going to affect your credit. If you use too much of your credit, you're going to affect your credit.
What's too much?
Excuse me?
What is using too much of your credit?
Over anything, technically anything over 18% of your credit card usage, you're using too much. My credit utilization has been down to about a 6% utilization. I try to use more cash. I try to budget. I also know when to pay the credit card company, because if you pay that credit card bill on the due date, you're missing the opportunity to build your score. So you use $25, you paid $25 on the due date, but then the credit reporting agency sees that you used that $25. So if you pay the bill and simply call the number on the back of your credit card, and you call the phone number and ask them, when do you report to the three major, well, first ask what credit bureaus do you report to, and then ask them, when do you report that information? So that's when you want to make your payment, the day before. You make that payment, now you got a zero utilization instead of 18, 19, 50%. If you're living on credit cards, you're not living.
Well, this is good. Really, really good information. I thank you for this information, but you're not done. We're going to take a break. But we'll be right back with more of how to beat the credit game and win with Michael Jahn.
of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutches of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
And we're back with Michael Jahn, an Army vet who has cracked the code to the winning of the credit game. Michael, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So you have told us that the very first thing to do is get your credit report.
Yes. See
Make
what's on
sure
it.
that you know what's on there, because there could be mistakes.
There could be a lot of mistakes. It could be that you paid your credit repair or your credit card on the 31st day instead of before. So now you have a 30-day late payment on your report. Some of those are just banking errors. Some of those are just simple mistakes that we can get those and get you fixed on those. But you have to make sure that you're responsible. Credit is a necessary game to play in life. But if you use your credit wisely and you really know how to manipulate the system, your credit it'll go up 100 points within 3-6 months. I went from a 520. I'm currently right about about a 698, and I'm 2 points from that 700. And I tell you, you use the credit card for business, and then something comes up, and then you go down 24 points. But then you got to wait another 30 days, and if you get it paid off, you're going back up. So I've still eluded that 700, although I know what a 720 and almost 800 score looks like. But it can be frustrating, but you got to be patient. Everything you do to improve your credit, to not use your credit cards, and just to be aware of what's really on there.
Yeah. Okay. So the awareness of what's on there, the responsibility for the actions that you take as credit holders, and then how is it easy or difficult to get a hold of the credit agencies themselves?
Yes. When I'll give you an example. So from my embezzlement, my company, there's a lot of things on my credit report. And there's,
wow.
Yeah. So it took me almost 3 years to figure out what direct numbers that you can actually call to get to a live person. Otherwise, you're playing the prompt game, the number brain. And with my traumatic brain injury, I can't do all those prompts. I want to talk to a human being. So I've been able to find some of those numbers. I'd be happy to share those numbers. But getting a hold of the credit reporting agencies is very important to do. Make sure that if it's not on there, to dispute it right with them.
About how long does it take once you've reached the credit agency and you've asked them to take something off?
It's just usually a 30-day process. So by law, they have 30 days to investigate your claim. Probably everybody and their brother says, nope, that's not mine, or I didn't pay that, or I didn't pay that late. So it is a process, and it's really I won't say that on TV. It's a terrible process because not only do you have to wait that 30 days, they, by law, are supposed to reach out to your creditor to validate that claim, and then you get a letter back saying, nope, the credit reporting agency said it's real. Well, wait a minute, that doesn't work. So now I've learned to jump over and either contact the original creditor and threaten them with a small claims action, again, because you're damaging my credit by misreporting the information. I have one card that's got a $4,700 balance that quite frankly, it just was out there. The thieves were out there, and And I still have not been successfully to remove that. And that's probably my next solution is to take them to small claims court, because all the documentation's there, and then you'll get a letter back, and it's a nightmare. It's interesting to see what our government's doing, because now I understand they might even take away the credit bureaus with some kind of new social score. So we'll see how that turns out. I think it's a terrible idea, but
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I heard the same thing very recently, because we just came through the pandemic, and there's a lot of people who kept up with this, no problem, as long as they had the income coming in, but because they lost their job and now they're without income and living on, what unemployment they can get, it's a nightmare.
well, and unfortunately, I'm a wise to what's really happening with our economy and how they're destroying the dollar, and it really is sad, because the social credit score is not the way to go. Who can judge how I'm acting, or how are you going to judge that person? By paying your bills on time, a credit system that we've had for a lot of years, it just has to be tweaked, and somebody's got to step in and say, look, it should not be this hard to fix your credit.
Right. And not only that, but if you are in the rears, there's ways of handling that, right?
Oh, yes. If you're especially with the pandemic, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, you can call your electric company, your gas company, your credit card company, your car payments, and get those payments, what they call deferred. That doesn't mean you're not going to pay it for X amount of months, like your rent. You can't be evicted, but at the time when they finally decide you're on the hook for 12 months, 14 months, 16 months of house payments, car payments, you can dodge the game for a while, but really, if you are able to start with your credit, your lowest balance first, get it paid off, work on the next one, but always be chipping away at that. Don't pay any collections, because you're just throwing your money away.
This is all great advice. This is a really, really helpful tips, tricks, and techniques that you've given us, because we know that a lot of people, sad to say, can't seem to find the light at the end of their tunnel, especially when there's money issues. So for the first month of the Veterans Onward to Prosperity, we are definitely going to be focused on money. This is Mission Money Possible Month. And so everything that's talked about this entire month of April is all going to be to get money, to manage money, budget money, and credit is very much a part of this.
Yeah, it sure is. And don't feel hopeless just because you're living or getting a stimulus check. I mean, there's little things that you can do to save money. My biggest advice to anybody out there, and I've been doing this for almost 30 years because I've run businesses, save your receipts. If you go to the store, you swipe your card, make sure you ask for a receipt. If you go buy a stick of gum, get a receipt. And if you're not set up as a small business, everybody should be set up as a small business. Even if you fail, get yourself a tax ID number, call yourself a business, develop a business, and if you really have the passion for it, really go after it. It's so important to save those receipts so you can see what you're living on. And okay, boy, $380 in fast food last month, or wow, I smoked a lot of cigarettes because here's what it added up to, and I have my crutches, and oh my God, when you see the yearly cost of some of these things that are good for you, or it'll just give you a lot of insight on where you can shave your costs, where you can save money so you can build wealth.
So you're suggesting that everybody have a small business. Why is that?
Absolutely. Well, do you want to work for somebody else and basically not get ahead? I mean, that's probably another discussion that we'll have. I just believe that if you're saving your receipts, you start yourself a small business. Well, guess what? Now, if you set up a small office in your home dedicated to your small business, you can write that off. Oh, you got an electric bill in your home for $200, but you're using a third of your house for business. That's a tax write-off. your gasoline that you use to go back and forth to work or to your job or your business, that's tax deductible. And guess what? Your cell phone bill, boy, that's a write-off. So instead of at the end of the year or putting all that money into Social Security, and like, I'm not saying do anything dumb. I'm just saying if you want to be an entrepreneur, it takes a lot of work and there's a lot of write-offs for you that you should all be taking advantage of.
So it actually is, there's a lot of benefits to having a small business in some way, shape, or form. You know, this is a perfect segue for next week's broadcast of Veterans Onward to Prosperity, because next week, I'm happy to tell you that we've already lined up 2 guests. Okay, so Michael Jahn from the Army is going to be available in case anybody has any questions. But next week, we're going to talk with a Marine and a Navy person about that entrepreneurship. But while we're on the subject of working your credit, because Michael, let's face it, it's not just about business credit, it's also about personal credit with the business credit that makes you creditable for loans and grants and things like that, right?
More difficult to get business credit these days than it is to get personal credit. So you're an entrepreneur and you can get a credit card easier in your name or even a secured, but you're using that for your business. So it has a pattern of tax deductibility.
Right. Line of credit, correct?
Exactly. You want to try to build up those lines of credit, not to use it and live on it, but to use it to generate your ideas, your businesses.
I love it. So how do people get in touch with you if they've got questions?
Well, I tell you what, we'll provide a link to the broadcast. And then I also have so this business that I'm helping you all with today, it just was an idea to help people with credit, because again, if you don't have good credit, you can't buy a car. I also own Angel Cars, which is a nonprofit that helps low-income families, veterans, moms with independent children, elderly, that they can bring their car in with free towing, discounted auto repairs, because you can't get to a dealership. Everybody needs a car. Well, when I was realizing that a lot of people that want to come in and buy an Angel Car, they don't have the credit. So we want to help them here at Angel Cars here in Beaver Dam to go through their credit, get their credit fixed as they're getting their cars repaired, and then eventually they'll be able to buy that new car.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. So if there's a situation where a veteran is in need of car repair or a car, they should definitely get in touch with you.
Oh, absolutely. We're one step away from getting our dealer's license. That means we'll be able to go to the auction and buy the exact same cars the dealerships buy and not charge $3,000, $4,000 profit. We only want to make $500 profit for our time. Make sure the cars are inspected, make sure they're safe and reliable. People should be able to buy a $5,000 or under car that they can depend on. So there's different things that we're working on. My ID Life business, which is health and fitness. Angel Cars, Pay It Forward, a lot of moving things. So find me on Facebook. It's under Michael Jahn, Jahn, and hook up and ask any questions, and we'll see you all next week.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you coming on the broadcast today and sharing your tips, tricks, and techniques for beating the credit card game. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired AnnaMaria Bliven. And the reason why I'm working with the Disability Channel at this stage of the game is because for many years now, I have had the pleasure of helping people. I can't stand the use of disabled. Can we just say differently able? Because if that label of disabled kind of sounds like you're not able to do anything, which is far from the truth. So a differently abled person is still able to do quite a bit and contribute quite a bit and be productive. And I've had the pleasure of helping folks in that situation get online jobs. In fact, Michael and I met so that I could help him in some way, shape, or form, in the same way that I've been helping a lot of folks that are needing that freedom and flexibility for working at home. So I spent 26 years of my life in the Army. The first half was in the band. All right, so don't laugh too hard. Every time I say that I was in the band, my husband kind of chuckles because he's MI, military intelligence. But I was in the band. I played trumpet, French horn, and sang in jazz vocal ensemble for 13 years. And then I blew out my knee. You can't march with a blown out knee. So the next possible step in my military career was to put me in recruiting and retention, simply because in the 13 years that I was in the Army band, I helped recruit 5 folks to join us in our band. So my leadership thought, perfect. Let's just put her in retention and recruiting. And there I spent the rest of my career. So I was 26 years, 13 in the band, 13 in the retention and recruiting. And I learned a lot of skills for career counseling. So I was a career counselor, 79 Victor, HUA, in the Army for 13 years. And all that time, I also developed folks in their military and civilian careers. And that included education. So then I eventually put on the hat as an education services officer. You know, in the military, if they start realizing what it is that you can do, they position you in those positions. And Michael knows exactly what I'm talking about, because it's like, okay, they tell you not to volunteer, but if you do a good job, you might be volunteered to do more of the same. But at any rate, so it was a perfect fit when I first learned about the Disability Channel and how they showcase the abilities of people and how it's for and by folks that have different abilities. They have a job training employment program that's awesome, because if someone, even a military veteran or a warrior that's going to be a veteran at some point, want to have a lifetime career in the media, well, look no further. The Disability Channel for several years has been training and helped to employ folks with 8 weeks course, 14 weeks course, and you come out as certified graduate working in the media industry. And so what does that mean? Well, you could be doing the up and coming and rising career in social media. You could be doing podcasting on behalf of a company or yourself, like Michael said. Consider having your own business. But when you have your own business, you got to promote it. You got to market it. So either you're going to learn how to do it or you're going to hire someone else to do it. You got pre-production, post-production. So you're in front of the camera or behind the camera. You're learning a lot about TV. A lot of that mystification with watching a movie is gone when you take this training, because you learn about behind the camera scenes and how it is that they make movie magic. So it's really cool stuff. But what's really, really cool is that once you've learned all of this, now you're ready for a lifetime career in the media industry, which we all know is a great career in itself. I'm so thrilled to be hosting Veterans Onward to Prosperity, but we're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
The things that haven't been done before, those are the things to try. Columbus dreamed of an unknown shore at the rim of the far-flung sky, and his heart was bold and his faith was strong as he ventured in dangers new, and he paid no heed to the jeering throng or the fears of the doubting crew. The many will follow the beaten track with guideposts on the way. They live and have lived for ages back with a chart for every day. Someone has told them it's safe to go on the road he has traveled o'er, and all that they ever strive to know are the things that were known before. A few strike out without map or chart, where never a man has been. From the beaten paths they draw apart to see what no man has seen. There are deeds they hunger alone to do. Though battered and bruised and sore, they blaze the path for the many who do nothing not done before. The things that haven't been done before are the tasks worthwhile today. Are you one of the flock that follows, or are you one that shall lead the way? Are you one of the timid
So thank you so much for tuning in to the very first Veterans Onward to Prosperity. I almost said podcast, but it's a TV show, folks. I'm so delighted to be hosting this. I'm Master Sergeant retired AnnaMaria Bliven. I left the Army in 2008 and went on a journey that I had no way of anticipating. But the journey was quite a learning curve for me and others. I learned that if you're a Master Sergeant and you have risen to the ranks, through the ranks, and gotten all of the skills and the leadership, you can't really get a job that is comparable right away. You have to build back up to that. So that was something that I was not prepared to know ahead of time and found out. And so now it brings me great pleasure to have this TV show and allow a lot of the information, resources, and sources that I found out along life's journey since 2008 and share it with you so that you don't have to wait, 12, 13 years, get out from under all of the trials and tribulations. No. We're going to do away with all of that. We're going to give you information, resources, and sources that you need in areas of money, mental health, fun and games, relationships, families, education, all of that. All of the situations and issues that we face as veterans. And you warriors that are still serving, I salute you. Thank you so much for your service. But there's a day that you're going to hang up your uniform for the last time. You're going to put your boots away for the last time. The day that I got my orders that came from the United States Army and said, "You are retired," was a moment of celebration. All those years, all those moments, all that sacrifice, all done. But I never stopped supporting my veterans and my warriors. And so now I get to continue to do that in this forum of Veterans Onward to Prosperity. Every Wednesday, we're going to tape live, and Thursday, we are going to be broadcasting on the Disability Channel. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be talking about what Michael had started talking about. Everyone should have a small business. We're going to continue with that as we are privileged to talk to someone that works at the Small Business Administration and the veteran side, and a serial entrepreneur who is a Navy veteran. Stay tuned, and there's more to come. And be the best you can be.